Dan made a really awesome one at the buzzer. And so Dan would love to have you introduce kind of Edge Team and your community and then what you built this and how it helps. And you can share your screen to show it if you want.
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Dan Klosterman. My agency is called Edge Team. We do AI consulting and build, custom solutions for folks with using, tools and platforms like Chip. We also have a group called EdgeCore where we do AI education and training and try to help people upskill in whatever space they're in. If they're less technical and more on the no code side of things, if they're a little more technical on the low code or vibe coding side, we're helping people of every shape and size to get upskilled there. So yeah, as far as my hackathon project, I spun it up. It connects two different APIs, and I'll just kind of show you what it looks like here.
Yeah, I'll drop the link in the chat for anyone who wants to follow along live, and you can show us on your screen. So it's autotask.edgeteam.io, and definitely on the productivity side of things, but also connects with something a lot of people ask about, which is email. So yeah, I would love to have you think about how you're doing that.
Perfect. All right, so here's Autotask. I'm actually signed in here, so let me log out. So this is the main screen here. You can see I've got the little Edge Team Chip branding with the yellow here. So if you're just starting, you've got an instructions page where it'll take you to walk you through all the API keys you need. So it's basically connecting Chip with Google OAuth to access your Gmail emails, and then ClickUp for your special tasks or task list, right? So you can use Trello, you could use HubSpot, you could use Microsoft, Google, whatever you wanted to, right? But we use ClickUp. So I've got a ClickUp task list just for this hackathon. So I'll pull that up in another tab as well. But we can log in here with Google, use my Google account. I can click this button here to fetch the latest emails. Now, I was sending myself emails because obviously this is my real email. So if we need to blur anything out, here we go. So here are the ones I sent myself. Hey, we've got a meeting tomorrow. We've got a Chip hackathon. Hey, Dan, this is from Scott. Hey, Dan, we need you to build this thing right away. And then we've got to follow up on a proposal. Hey, look, Bolt has a hackathon coming up too, right? So maybe we want to build some of these. So let me pull up my ClickUp tab just so you can see my ClickUp task list. And then we'll create a task here. So basically when I click this button, obviously we've already pulled these emails from the Gmail API. And then when I click this button, what will happen is it'll call out to Chip. It will pass the email content to Chip. Chip will say, okay, I'm taking a look at this email. Based on my system prompt, I've told Chip to review the email and turn it into a task for me to complete in ClickUp, and then pass that to the ClickUp API to create that task on my ClickUp list. So here's my ClickUp list. You can see it's a Chip hackathon list. It's empty right now. There's no tasks in it. So let's just do the 1 hour meeting. We'll create this one. I've already set up my API keys and so forth in the settings. So I'm just going to connect the workspace here. There we go. ClickUp authentication successful. Now I can select my workspace. You can see these are our other ClickUp lists. Here's my Chip hackathon list. So I'm going to select that one. Boom. Now it's configured. And then I'll choose this meeting tomorrow. Let's do that one. I'm going to send the email to Chip for analysis. And then task analysis is complete. And it's created a ClickUp task. So if we click that link, take me right to ClickUp. But we can see it's already added a task to schedule that 1 hour meeting with Monica. And here's the details from Monica. Obviously, this is my email address here, but requested for a 1 hour meeting for tomorrow. Please coordinate. And it even has that due date of tomorrow. So I know when it's due.
That's awesome. So how did you have this idea? Is this a need that you have personally or something clients have asked for? Or how did you kind of
Yeah. I mean, this is something we just got onboarded to ClickUp here recently. So this is something that I just spun up within the last week. We were kind of building our lists. And I was like, hey, this would be really cool if we could take something from an email right into a ClickUp task. And so if we just click this, now some email. So there's probably some conflict between me since I sent multiple emails to myself, a minute ago. This is kind of an example of what that ClickUp API call would look like.
Full disclosure, about 3 weeks ago, I reached out to Scott and said, hey, the business need is I'd like to bring all the generative capabilities of Chip into my Salesforce workplace because that's where we route some of our volunteers. And I love having all the capabilities. Hey, draft me an email to our volunteers and come up with return back our form template. So it's standard. So we actually embedded a Chip bot created within Chip as a custom Visualforce page on our home screen. And this gives our users a number of good things. Chip allows us to store information that we don't store in Salesforce, kind of like our most current roster of our volunteers, standard operating procedures like our email templates, access to other web pages. So we've created a set of the most common prompts: generate follow-up emails, look up volunteer information, brainstorm flyers for campaigns, and looking up onboarding information. So I'm going to pretend I'm looking up our volunteer information and interacting with Chipp, and it'll give it our standard kind of coda from both our Google Sheet and as well as our website. So just general description of our volunteers. And what if I want to, instead of going typically in Salesforce tab by tab or field by field, I can just ask how many volunteers are available now. And it allows our user just to interact very naturally. So right now, Chipp is accessing our Google Sheets that stores all this information and returning 24 available volunteers. And these are the ones that passed their background check, that have their status available right now, and really no other filters. What if I want to add a filter, say, show me the volunteers with a web development background? And it's taking our list of 24 and further narrowing it down to specifically web development skill sets. So this is great. Maybe I'm going to reach out to Abigail right now and go, okay, now I'm going to do it. I've got a potential student that we want her to mentor with. And you can see that Chipp has this inside its train during just a little form letter, and I copy paste this into my email. And again, like from a workflow perspective, the convenience of having Chipp all embedded inside our existing kind of Salesforce workplace. I get access to information. I have flexibility to grow. This actually is like almost like a competitive feature to Salesforce native Agentforce capabilities, but the pricing is a lot easier. It's easier to install. Literally, we did this in like 15 minutes, creating a Visualforce page and then updating onto our homepage. This is, I think, a good use case for a lot of small businesses or even enterprises that want to experiment with what they can do. Actually, Chipp has a very easy way via the share and the iframe embedding. Like there was actually a business analyst way that I could bring in my Chipp into my Salesforce instance. And that's via native Salesforce, like Visualforce frames. People are familiar with Salesforce, but that's the way their UI is built up. It's just a bunch of different frames. And I could bring in Salesforce Chipp directly into my Salesforce instance via an iframe. I may not score points from a technical perspective from an API, but I score points with my users because they don't care how we do it, as long as it's available.
Exactly.
And as I just roll it out and go, hey, we've introduced Chipp is now integrated into your workplace. Like the stuff that used to be in Google Sheets, it's actually now you could contact it through Chipp. So Chipp is actually like a junction object for those technical. So I use Chipp as a hub to get the other resources, and I abstract, from the workflow perspective for users. They don't have to worry about that. They could just land in Chipp. But when you hit that share and look at iframe, I would look at all the apps that you have in the techno, SAP even has that capability of adding iframes into their UI. Again, you could do this in an hour. You can test it and everything, and it's done. That's why I said very confidently on a previous call. I was running my own Salesforce practice in a large consulting client, and we would charge like, oh, it'd take a few months to go do this, and I'm like, nah, forget it. You can do this in Chipp in an hour. Again, from a pricing perspective, it's like it's included in everybody's licenses, so it's not like per chat or like the way that the Salesforce charges something in Agentforce. So highly encouraged. It's on the screen actually. Later on, maybe I will actually show like the 3 clicks that I did in Salesforce to put it in, and then we'll put that on the Academy so that as you engage your clients that have Salesforce instances, you could bring this out and like, let me do it for you in real time in 10 minutes. I will integrate Chipp into your Salesforce instance.